With a silent stare, racing through the open air, he's without a care. Everywhere you look, he's right on time. Moving to the beat. Can you feel the heat when the tigers kiss on the street? I see truth in riverside or insanity. Unleash the giants, losing the horse, build up the seas, set the serpents alight. Define their heights, behold your sight. For those windmills, let them run again. 'Cause I will fight. Let it be the cold rain, be it battle I cannot survive, or another cursed spirit come from the tide. Every morning, every night, my fate confide. Beyond our years upon the bridge across the stranger light. Those devils never break out of their great disguise. So I will fight. Another soul, another falsely fight. Those rambling words they pressed upon my soul. Every inch I march towards the fatal side. Against the winds, against the lights, I shall conquer that. 'Cause when you stop to dream, your whole heart gives into life.
Listen and you'll hear the heartbeat of a universe teeming with force. See all the forms and the faces of nature taking its course. And feel all the wonderful motion flowing through things far and near. Nature will share her secrets when we are ready to hear. Energy, these are a few of your faces, glowing in timeless places, bringing our lives new graces. Energy, there is no living without you. We must keep learning about you. Now is the time to find how to. Energy, you are profound. You make the world go round and round. You make the world go round. You make the world go round. You make the world go round.
Thank you, Energy. Hello, everybody. How's it going? How are you? Is that true? Mary got stuck at the same part in Bond that I did. I might peek inside. Is she still there? Well, you might hear Mary. I'm peeking inside there. What's going on here? Did you get past it? I'm going to tell her. Mary, my chat told me you got stuck at the same part I did. It's okay to be mad like I was. Okay. I guess I have to put her volume on so I can hear her respond to me.
Yes, Mom.
Oh god, you're hearing James Bond right now. That was a good video game.
Hey! That's
Hi.
so funny.
It is
Yeah,
funny.
Minotti, I didn't know that to shoot the light, and he kept saying the same annoying line. He was like, I gotta get creative. And I was like, yeah, I understand. We need to be creative. What are you talking about? Minotti, I was there for a long time. It was awkward.
I was there longer.
I
All
feel
right.
better knowing that you suffered
Have
like
a good
I did.
one. See you later, PP.
Oh my god, that line. Did you get stuck here too? Just kidding, I'm gonna kill all these guys.
There you go. All right, I'm glad Mary's having fun.
Yep. Right floor.
Always be clothing. How dare you specify that PP means portal pal? What else could it possibly mean? All right, everybody. We're going to be beating Bubsy 4D tonight, which there might not be a ton of that game left. I have another game, another indie game I want to play. It's called TetherGeist, so we're probably going to at least try that. I don't know if anyone's heard of this or seen this. It came out in May. It kind of has Celeste vibes. It looks like it has Celeste vibes. I'm going to check that out tonight, too. But first, we're beating Bubsy. Thank you so much to Koff for the stream streak. Thank you, 5-day rental for 30 months. My goodness, 30. Thank you, 5-day rental. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate it. Dr. Feelbad, thank you for 11 months. You're close to your spicy bubble. I appreciate that. Razzle Jazzle, thank you for 50 months. Is that my first 50? I don't think I've seen a 5-0 before. I feel like that's got to be the first 50. I'm trying to think. That's crazy. I didn't even know I've been on here. I certainly wasn't streaming regularly for 50 months. That's somebody who found I had a Twitch account and was subscribing before I was even doing anything. Thank you, Razzle Jazzle. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Mitch Leno. You're right. You heard of this? Anybody see this? You hear of this? You hear about this? Good old Leno. Not good, old Leno. All right. Thank you again, everybody. Appreciate that. I hope you all had a good weekend. Hey, babe. God, I learned how to use OBS, then that simpler version of OBS, because I did an Extra Life thing with Jeff where I did 12 hours. I think I just played a lot of Dolphin games. I can't remember when that was. I was way before I was doing even Jive also, I think. And then, like, because I learned how to use OBS from that, I kind of started streaming. I know when I was, like, starting to stream a bit more, it was, Mary said, bye, PP, and that you should hang out in Portland. We're going to, for sure. Yeah. Then I remember it was when they announced Return to Monkey Island, and I started playing through the Monkey Island games again. When did that game come out? Return to the Monkey Island. That was 2022 already? What do you mean Return to Monkey Island is almost 4 years old? Shut up. No, it's not. It really is disgusting how much faster time goes when you get older. Like 4 years, that's like a high school time, right? That's freshman to the senior. That feels like this giant chunk of your life. Now, granted, it's probably because high school sucks. You're forced to sit in these awful rooms and pay attention to boring things that you don't like for hours on end. Probably part of the reason why time went so slow then, right? But boy. That's wild. Yeah, Neon White. When did Neon White come out? That's a good question, too. Probably also 2022. Yep, that was June. So, yeah, that was about it. About June 2022. 4 years? I guess it makes sense. Jeez. It's really going by way too fast. That's crazy. I'm turning 40 this year. It's crazy. There's a fucking new Bubsy game. It's all fucked up, man. But at least Xbox is back. Some things never change.
Atari!
It's weird that that things from 4 years ago can now be a decent bit past COVID even, right? Okay. How did that happen? Alright, we got World 3, Metallurgia. Just a lot of things I think about that make me feel old now. The movies I saw in theaters. I had an NES when that was the top of the line. Is Bubsy saying? No, I think he's from Earth. He's traveling to different places. Stinky Danny, thank you for 26 months. Appreciate that. I hope you're doing well. Thank you. Wasn't the boss that beat the last one? What's he doing here? Or they're just hanging out now? Galaxy Edge is about to turn 7 years old. Wow. I feel like that thing was under construction for 10 years. Because he actually got some, like... Oh, these photos are 10 years old, and it was when I was in Disneyland with a friend when they were still building it. It's been 11 years since Fallout 4. That is so much. That is so much what Xbox's real problem is and why it's not gonna last anymore, on top of a million other things, right? But they just can't. When there's 15 years now between an Elder Scrolls game or a Fallout game, you buy a game studio. And games are, you own them for like 15 years, and games take so long to make that they make one game. I don't know. I just wonder how any of these companies are gonna still be invested in this industry. Starfield being 3 years old is messed up. I'm a bit low compared to the game. Shouldn't be. Let me see. You think I'm too low or the game is too high? I'm like getting, I'm getting kind of yellow bars. Let me look at my stuff. Da 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 da. I'll give you a tiniest bit more gain. That might help. Let me know if that's better. Be good. Fallout 76 is like super old now. That's what's crazy, man. That's fun.
Let's go.
I think they do too many of these pipes, these half pipes. They're kind of a little wonky. They don't feel amazing. Fallout Shelter, even that's forever ago, man. Right? God, maybe it is the most popular. I mean, I bet Skyrim made a lot of money. You would think, right? You would hope. Right, even Naughty Dog can't, like, put games anymore, man, right? Like, let's say Intergalactic comes out in 2 years, and then we're 7 years past that, and then Sony says, well, Naughty Dog, who we pump, you know, a lot of money into every year, right? We pump a lot of money. I don't know exactly how it works. Let's say $100 million. Is that crazy? A year? I don't think it's crazy. I don't know. We pump, wow, we did that, and they released one game in the last 12 years. It's something they'll be able to say at one point, and I just don't, right? It's like, I don't know. This is where, that kind of feels like where we're heading. Especially for companies like, you know, like that can never, like, just be like, we'll just make some smaller games. They're not gonna make smaller games. A Bethesda or a Naughty Dog. Right. It's like maybe the prestige a little bit matters for them. They like that. Like, you know, I bet, you know, it made them happy when, say, Astrobot won Game of the Year, right? It's always funny we talk about Last of Us as the prestige games, even though Astrobot also had a ton of prestige and won Game of the Year, but, like, that's not a prestige game. It had the prestige. We just don't think of it like that. But, tangent. Yeah, it's like, you want to live in a world where, like, yeah, studios should be able to make South of Midnight.
I wonder.
And it should be able to exist because it's good art.
Attractive to other people.
There's no way Xbox that was ever going to be enough for Xbox, especially once Game Pass was not going to make it. I think a lot of these studios were in trouble. Your Double Fines, your Compulsion, as soon as it turned out that Game Pass actually wasn't going to solve any problems. Well, look, I mean, I'm not going to disparage a game at this particular moment, right? You know, you can see clearly that game meant a lot to people, right? So, and that's good. That's a good thing. I mean, Obsidian, yeah, it's a little scary with Obsidian.
Smells like old leather.
Because they make great games, and part of me has always been a little confused. I'm still a little confused how people kind of didn't like Avowed or The Outer Worlds 2 at least a little bit more than they did. It kind of seems like those games did not make much of an impact. Shy Souls, thanks so much for the raid. Thank you. You know, and they get to do awesome things like make Pentiment, and again, that's great. This medium is so much better when games like Pentiment. I don't know if Xbox cares, especially not anymore.
Smells like old leather. That is Woolies.
See, like, yeah, see, like that idea, like that they've fallen off, and to me, it's like, I don't know. To me, I'm just not that convinced that an Outer Worlds 2 is even a worse game than a Fallout 4, and Fallout 4 is some giant hit. I get the difference a bit in scale, for sure. That's probably more of a me thing. That's it. I do love the back-to-back like messages from people that disagree. Like, we had a Fallout 4 is bad, actively IMO, followed by Fallout 4 is a lot better IMO. Right, so yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, man. It's like, I mean, it was always like everybody was excited about Xbox being back. Not everybody, of course. But It's always like, how, like, what difference does it possibly make now that a Gears of War game is exclusive to Xbox again? Great. And they're so obviously flying by the seat of their pants over there, just like canceling that game on PlayStation at the last second, and no matter what they said, the last moment, clearly being surprised that corporate's making them lay off people and close studios, or else they wouldn't have fucking shown a Ninja Theory game during their presentation just last fucking week, right? They don't know what's going on. I bet maybe Asher Sharmark did come in and, like, you know, maybe let's give her the benefit of the doubt if we must, and say, oh yeah, she really wanted to bring things together and make a lot of excitement. Well, now here's the reality, is that your boss is telling you you need to bring profits up by cutting costs by this much, and ooh, it's a big number. You're gonna have to lay some people off. We're gonna have to lay off some people at the closed studios. Which ones? No, it's not gonna be Playground Games. It's not gonna be anyone Bethesda or Activision Blizzard. Okay, how many players does Kiln have? Oh, right. Can there be something up here? How do I get over there? That's the end of the level. Oh, it's like that stuff. Oh, here we go. That's right. Right, Kiln probably, exactly. Kiln was not an expensive game to make, but they're gonna look at numbers. They're gonna look at the data. I don't know. Part of me still feels like even they wouldn't dare just straight up close Double Fine. Double Fine is so sort of beloved and kind of respect within the industry that part of me worry. Like, I worry much more for Ninja Theory and a Compulsion. They'll, I don't know. I am worried for Double Fine. You think they'll somehow make that work, or let Double Fine by themselves? I don't know. If they do that, they might still lay off a ton of people.
T-pose, baby.
Stop saying T-pose, baby. I was already there. Oops, there we go. Hate those fucking cameras, man. There we go.
Golden star. I mean, a golden fleece. Legally distinct reasons.
Yeah, the Ninja Theory thing's wild. I still... Again, I know, like, I just don't like those games. So studio's not doing what should be. Maybe stop making the game in that same franchise. Christ. Do something else, please.
Alrighty, where to next?
Like, I know I don't care that much about it, but I didn't hear anybody buzzing because they announced another Senua. Like, how is that the next project, man? I'm hurt.
Let's go.
Ah.
T-pose, baby.
You're not on the ground. Look at that. Look at that. Tisk, tisk, tisk. You know what? I'll ignore that game. I'll ignore that. Oh, they can't close. It would be wild. I mean, id releases game. It would probably be safe, but you know, again, who knows? Especially stuff like Bethesda, unless stuff aside for Arcane. Shit. Okay. What is going on here? Whoa. Right, I can only dive once. Now, Being a studio showing off your tech through games only works if you're selling the tech. Does Ninja Theory sell the tech they make? What's going on there? They do. Interesting. I wonder. I mean, you'd think that would be a profitable business, but apparently not. I don't know. Am I crazy? There's nothing up here. What did I get? Did I get something? What is that? This is where I'm actually heading. Is there a silver thing up here even? Well, let's show. What is the camera? Got weird there. All right. Never mind then. I guess I'm leaving. Ow. Yeah, fucking die. Hell yeah. Guess we're going right this time. I'm worried I'm not going to be able to get in. What is this? 0G. Okay. Yeah. I like my control. Thank you. Thank you if you watched the control video. I really quite enjoyed the demo I played on that. Looking forward to that. Wasn't too long ago we played the first control on here during the 2019 Apology Tour. Good times, good times. I love that drill sub-weapon I had. I'm definitely going to be using that when I get the full game. I did not get to play Stuntman. I tried to make an appointment for it, and it was full, and then I tried to kind of sneak in. I never had time. So no, I didn't get to do Stuntman. There's some other things I played that I think the embargoes aren't up for yet somehow, which is driving me crazy. Not as crazy as the fucking Superstation is making me, though. Oh, I've been tempted to just throw that thing in the fucking garbage. If it does actually send a signal to my TV, which is pretty rare. AJ, it's not even sending a signal to the TV anymore. Every time there's a problem, it's like the 9th thing I have to try that even works. And then even then, it doesn't work fully. I haven't played any games on it. Oh, it's driving me crazy. Yeah, I don't, I have not been happy. And I know this. I know it's an enthusiast thing. I get it. I get that it wasn't supposed to just be like an analog machine, but jeez. Just not, I don't know. Like, nothing's been working on it, man. It hasn't done shit. I can't really say how far out some of the embargoes go, because that's part of the embargo is when it's embargoed, you know? So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if other people have been having as many problems as I had, but it's been miserable. Even, like, the documentation is terrible. Like, it doesn't come with a manual. That's fine. Send me to a PDF. It comes with a QR code. The QR code sends you to a quick start guide. There's no way to quick start it. And a video. Not a PDF. A video. A 40-minute video of some guy telling you what to do. I can't watch a video. I'm not going to watch a video. Give me instructions. I need a manual. I'm losing my mind. I don't know. I kind of can't believe it. It's not even that it's 40 minutes and that's long. I am looking for a specific problem. I know. I was getting mad. My Superstation, that PlayStation Mister thing. Then the thing, like, you know, mine came with the dock. Well, the dock has its own separate, like, USB-C ports and HDMI ports. I'm like, am I supposed to plug it into these? I don't know. It's like, no. There's a switch for snack. And Grub's like, maybe turn snack on and off. I'm like, I'm not hungry. I don't need a snack. What the hell's that? I don't use so much health. Like spicy tonight. Oh, spin it. Oh, Jesus. Interesting day for the industry. Yeah, I want to play Elliot. I hope it's... I know, maybe to be good annoy this. I hope it's not too talky. I would like to play a Zelda-style game or action RPG. I just don't want to... I just don't want a lot of... I think it's going to be kind of... My big concern is that it's going to be a bit talkier than I would like. This game is talkier than I would like. It's a little talky. Yeah, I expect it to be a little talky. Who knows? Maybe it's all really good. I just, like... I worry it's going to be kind of mundane. Yeah, I should just try the demo. I've been playing Yoshi in the Mysterious Book. I'm working towards beating that and enjoying it. This kind of thing. This is very Mario Sunshine. I do need to play a point and click again. That'll calm me down. I can no longer play games with people talking. I just think it's sometimes a getting old thing where I'm like, what? Why are, like, I don't know. So it's just inane sometimes. The games make you talk to people, they don't say anything. They're not conveying any useful information. They're not saying anything funny or interesting. A lot of times they aren't even, like, giving away pieces of the plot. They're just kind of talking. I'm like, stop. I don't care. There you go. Well, I don't mean like, I don't mean Bubsy's verbosity. I mean like there's freaking cutscenes that are like, because everyone's talking about what's going on in the plot. I'm like, I don't give a shit. They're constantly introducing these boss characters. Like, look at this guy's personality. I don't care. It's never fun. Like, and I have that problem with Demon Ties. Kind of like, there's a lot of characters and there's a lot of talking, and none of the characters are good, and none of the talking is entertaining or interesting. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, it has the characters from the show, yeah. Except for the armadillo, the best one. Their solution is, I'm not skipping the cutscenes. A lot of times you can't anyways. I'm just mashing through dialogue. That feels awful. Just let people know. I mean, sometimes what's going on doesn't have to be much. Like in a game like this, yeah, I don't know, the Woolies made robots and they took our wool. There you go, great. Fantastic.
Whoa!
Yeah. Shit. Oh no, you hurt me. Alright. New 90s Disney is live, everybody. There you go. Watch us rank the 20 best things in Disneyland and talk about my recent trip a bit. I definitely don't love Bubsy enough. Like, James Bond had a good amount of talking, right? Bond had a lot of talking. It was really well done. Good characters. Great acting for the most part. Sorry, Bomwa or whatever.
So, where are we going next?
That's fine. Snappy, yeah, Snappy's important. I don't know. Like in these, like in freaking Demon Ties, you'll just find some NPC and you'll go talk to them, and it'll be like 10 dialogue boxes, man. Like, have you played a Zelda game? If I go and talk to an NPC just because I want to see what's up, and they don't have anything to say about the story or anything, I just want to go talk to them, they can have 1 or 2 max boxes worth of dialogue. Otherwise, no. Absolutely not. Oh, shit. Trying to get... Whoa. Interesting. Hey, Drew. Right, it's like there's pacing to conversations. If people are having a longer conversation than like 2 characters would have in a movie. Next time I find one of these NPCs, I'm going to talk to them. We're going to see how many lines of dialogue there are. I hate... Oh, jeez, the recovery. Even Kojima is usually able to make his dialogue interesting, if nothing else. Yeah, it's an Atari controller for some reason.
Ooh, shiny silver yarn ball. Gimme.
Yeah, even like the Star Fox demo had some fun talking, right? Like, alright.
Hey, twerp.
Alright, watch this. Let's see how long this person wants to talk to me for. Terry, got there right this instant. Nuh-uh. He's just right to the top. Terry, stop your brother, please. I think... Okay. Alright, not too egregious. I'll let that one go. It's okay to like Metal Gear Solid 4. I like Metal Gear Solid 4. I never thought anyone would consider it a top 10 video game is all. That's all.
Lab bot detected. Beep boop.
I am curious to play the remaster of it in the collection, see how that works now. The idea that I can play Metal Gear Solid 4 on my Switch too, even though it's such an old game, of course I can, is still wild to me. Metal Gear Solid 4 is fantastic. Man, see, top 10 vibes. See, I don't know. Am I really the crazy one to think that, like, Metal Gear Solid 4 is obviously an 8? Like, yeah, it's got a lot of stuff. It's got a lot of problems, too. It's your favorite Metal Gear Solid? See, in my mind, until right now, I would have said, I bet that's nobody's favorite Metal Gear Solid. No, an 8's not bad. Of course not. An 8 just would never be a top 10 video game of all time. That's the point.
T-pose, baby.
I mean, it was a very exciting game. I get that because they were finalizing shit, right? It was a big finale. Things getting finalized. Like, I played through it ravenously, to be clear. I did, absolutely, and I loved Metal Gear Solid. It just, to me, it's like there's 2 Metal Gear Solid games that can be in that conversation for like one of the best video games. It's 1 and 3. 5 was close. Then it kind of had to come out unfinished because of lame circumstances. But
Will you look at that?
also some of the embarrassing story stuff. Like, that was the one with the weak story. The whiplash is so weird between Final Fantasy, Metal Gear Solid 4 being almost all story and no gameplay, and then 5 being pretty much all gameplay and no story. Like, somewhere between there's a happy medium. And they did make that game. It's called Metal Gear Solid 3. Yeah, Metal Gear Solid 5's gameplay is just amazing. I mean, 4's gameplay is really good too. You just not that much of it. I mean, I like Peace Walker. I never think about it too much. Oh, I need to like fall into the abyss so I get spawned back where I was, hopefully, and not just down there. Look at me, I'm gaming the system. Yeah, some Metal Gear Solid collection like Switch 2, like, is that pretty good? I never actually played much of that. Is that, if I wanted to play Metal Gear Solid 1 now, should I just do the collection? Yes? Cool. I might need to check that out again. Well, Metal Gear Solid 1. Although it's 3, it's like, I don't know, people who are Metal Gear Solid fans, if you wanted to play Metal Gear Solid 3 now, would you play the original at this point? Like, you know, you just kind of want to play that original experience, or would you just stick with the remake from now on? Because I'm not sure. I also don't think as much as I love Metal Gear Solid 3, I kind of realize this playing the remake. Like, I played through that game quite a few times. I think I'm going to be good for a while. Seeing a decent mix there. I mean, that game used to have pressure-sensitive buttons. I think Metal Gear Solid 2 had more of that, but you just have more buttons on monitor controller, so it's fine. That doesn't matter. Oop, there's nothing over here. Not really too worried about having yarn anymore. But they added 60 FPS for Metal Gear Solid 2 on Switch, too. Well, that's good.
I wonder, how many silver yarn balls do I need to own before I look
I'm supposed to go that way.
People?
Shit. Am I?
Going up.
There's definitely a part of me thinks if I ever played that game again, I might just want to play some form of the original. I don't know. I do wonder if that team is just working on remaking one of the other ones now, either 1 or 2. I like Metal Gear Solid 2. It kind of took me a bit to come around to it. I've always liked the way it plays. I used to kind of hate its story and characters and whatnot. I've mellowed on that a bit. Especially since, you know, some of that stuff aged pretty well, it turns out. Some of it I think is actually still stupid, and maybe people act like it's not, and it's still pretty stupid. But whatever. I will not buy a copy of Twin Snakes because I had that game at one point. And I'm either going to find my original copy or I'll go without. Because I had that game. I mean, as somebody who liked Metal Gear Solid and also had a GameCube, I definitely had Twin Snakes. It's a weird. Even back then, I remember thinking, this is a bit much. They went too far here.
I mean,
Neat. It was neat to play once.
Hey, Bubsy.
alrighty, where to next? Pause menu.
It's a neat curiosity. That's a good way of putting it.
P-A-W. Forget
We get it, Bubsy.
Let's go!
45 seconds. Ooh, blueprint's nice.
Yep.
Am I missing something? Ah, damn it. No, I'm not gonna make it. Oh, that's going down. Okay. Damn it. Yeah. Where's that switch? Let's just push it again. I'm not gonna make it. Oh, I like this. Have the retry button. Oh shit. I
You're
retry,
pausing the
retry.
game now? What?
I didn't realize I was gonna like retry right away. Do it like this. Ugh. I have to wait for the timer to go down again. Great. By the way, that best of back rub that went up is really good. I was actually watching that with my bros before we did 90s Disney. I forgot how funny that one was. I think that's the most underrated Play Club series. Oh yeah, I'd love to play it. Yeah, I definitely want to play Ghost Babel. I've always been Ghost Babel curious. That's one of the nice things about Kojima not being at Konami anymore. He's not there to tell them that they're not allowed to put Ghost Babel in things.
Airtime.
Fuck.
Ouch! Not a fan of this acupuncture style.
Yeah. But sometimes I think I want to play 13 too and Lightning Returns. I don't know. Oh, the timer's still going. I watched like one video review series that made them seem kind of bad, which maybe it was just that one person, so I don't know. I like base 13. Look, he can't give me crap for 13. Like, I've always been a 13 defender. Before it was cool to be one. Yeah, I should probably finish 16. I've never played the acid games, actually. Someone just kind of completely skipped those. I played Portable Ops. Is Portable Ops in the collection? I feel like it's not. Portable Ops was pretty cool back when it was the only portable Metal Gear Solid. It kind of just became unnecessary as soon as we had. Oh man, I'm not gonna fucking make it. What did I do so slow there? Fuck. I really am not expecting it to be going right away. I'm getting these blueprints. We're gonna sit here and wait. Why can't I, like, restart it? Is this... What's this retry button do? Is it the entire level? It's the entire level. Yeah, like, normally with a game like 16, I'd be like, I'll just start it over if I'm gonna play it. I don't really want to do the beginning again. Like, I get it. Mom sucks. Gotta be going a bit faster here. Whoa. Oh no! I mean, it's funny because Portable Ops was the first one to do the whole, like, Fulcrum whatever thing, right? Or the recruiting people. Like, basically what Metal Gear Solid 5 gameplay is kind of starts in Portable Ops. I feel like people forget that.
Blueprint specifically designed to teach me things. I hate learning anything anyway.
First try. Now where are we going? Guess over there. Ow. Oh, I see. Some of these later levels, platforms getting trickier. You can see it. Oh, is Persona 4 Revival not coming to Switch right away? That does suck, because those games especially, man, I want to play those portably. I think I actually played Reload on my ROG Ally. I think I did the same for Metaphor Fantasio. They worked pretty well in there. Well, Golden was a Vita game, right? Like, to me, the only one of those games I played through not portably was base Persona 5. I started Original 3 and Original 4 back when they came out. I didn't really play through them, though, till I played Persona 3 Portable and then Golden. Oops. On my Vita. I started Persona 1 on PSP. Didn't get too far. It was a little much for me. Someday. I'm sure that game will get a remake of its own at some point. Not really like these ones, but they'll do something with it. I played SMT4. I reviewed that back in the day. And I liked it, but I didn't love it. The games just don't quite sing to me quite as much. Never got too far in 3. I think I played 3 when the remaster came out on Switch. I didn't get very far in it. Same with 5. I tried Strange Journey on the DS, and I was enjoying it. I like the vibes of that one a lot, but I did kind of fall off it. It actually kind of got hard. My problem. I probably should have just gotten through it a bit more.
There for a second. So, where are we going next?
Oh, shit. It's those woolies. Alright, I remember a lot of people... remember at the time most people liked 4 more than I did, and then people seemed to really like Apocalypse, which I didn't play.
T-pose, baby.
Yeah, I really liked Metaphor.
Ooh, a silver yarn ball. Now to stash it for retirement.
I want silver yarn balls, I want froggies.
Never
Where am
mind.
I going? Looks like I'm going that way.
Time, Bubsy.
There we go.
Going up.
Weird heat effects up there or something. What is that? Strange effect. Something. Oh, that's intentional.
T-pose, baby.
Oh no, I don't want
I wonder how many
those
silver yarn balls I need to own
froggies.
before I look attractive to other people.
Where's the proggies? I went here and there. Oh, is it just this ramp? I missed this ramp. Yeah, 15 had some fun mini games. That pinball thing was actually pretty fun. Nothing was as good as like Queen's Blood. I forgot it had darts. Was it as good as Final Fantasy VII Remake's darts minigame? Because I actually liked that one a ton. I am fucking blowing it. It's fine.
T-pose, baby.
Darts is... oh, that's right. It's a quick time event. Yeah, not as good then. It's weird that the Switch 2 version of Xenoblade Chronicles X was apparently so rough. I played through Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, and 3. I did not feel much of a pull with X. Whoa, okay. Speedrun shreds.
A litter box means... What's this weird thing? Whoa! Hey! Oh!
Yeah, I definitely like 3 the
Welcome to my
best.
laboratory,
I think it kind of
creature.
still went on a bit long. I think its third act was not
Are
super
you
strong.
ready?
And the battle system's really not that good. That's kind of my issue with all those games.
To be upgraded to greatness?
Upgrade? Oh, no, you don't. I'm not interested in becoming a bad Bubsy.
You will not have a choice in the matter. Bartholomew!
Let's get him, boss!
Bobby! Bobby?
I don't... The power line guy... Is this power line? I think that's generous.
Ow! I'm here, yo!
But no, I don't like
Let's
him.
begin, shall we?
Why is this gonna be like a dingo hopper fight? That's the vibe I'm getting.
I hate this stupid kid!
Yeah. Ow, I jumped.
My annoyance has no bounds!
One of them was supposed to attack those and shoot them back at him. It's a distinct possibility. Oh no.
My
Okay.
annoyance has no bounds!
How did I do this last time? Last time there was a cannon. Ew.
Organic errors getting everywhere!
I already got hit twice. It's not good.
Do I have
No.
to do everything myself?
I tried attacking them. It didn't do anything. Ripperoo. That's right. What did I say? Dingo hopper. That's what the hell's a dingo hopper?
My annoyance has no bounds!
Is the dingo hopper something Ariel calls a fork? Is that where that comes from or something? That's right. That's where dingo hopper is. I just realized. Oh my god. What's wrong with me? I need to get a life.
Nothing organic can stand up to my superior robotics.
Getting Crash Bandicoot bosses mixed up with the words that the seagull and Little Mermaid calls fucking forks. Christ.
Nothing organic can stand up to my superior robotics. You cannot escape my perfect aim.
Okay. Can I hit you now?
Oh yeah!
Hey, I bet you're gonna go over here.
We're not done yet.
There was Dingo Dial, right. That's probably why I got confused. Music's good.
My annoyance has no bounds.
This is fun. The boss fights have been good.
Get your hooves sturdy.
What did you do? Right.
My annoyance has no bounds.
Oh boy. Oh, like wherever.
We're not done yet. Filthy organic.
It feels really good, actually. Mechanics are good.
My annoyance has no bounds.
No, are they gonna both do their things now? I bet so. Doing good.
Perhaps two will do the trick.
There we go.
Follow me home, Barbie. In there.
Up in the ante. Alright, we're good. I'm too good at video games. You can't hurt me.
Bro, stop moving!
Oh, you're-
Impossible! How could someone like you,
a loser.
me?
Bleats me.
I hate you so much.
Just jumping after him.
What a bunch of weirdos.
Did I beat the game? Let's see. I think I might have. Guess so.
I'm exhausted. I've got cramps in places I didn't even know existed.
Gross. You did well, Bubsy.
I knew it! I knew you'd say my name right at the end.
Oh, is that a reoccurring bit? I did not pick up on that. Was she saying Bubsy wrong?
Would a hug be pushing it?
Ugh, yes.
Oh,
Okay.
damn.
Uncles made things awkward again.
That's Bubsy for you.
Classic Bubsy. We did it. That was a fun game. Fun little romp. I'm gonna play another indie game after this. Check that out a little. Don't tune away yet. Not 100% no. It's kind of messed up they didn't ask Grub to voice Bubsy. He is the Bubsy guy. Oh, it's not as good as Battle for Bikini Bottom. No. Battle for Bikini Bottom is really good, actually. Let's see. Let's just give this a rating on Infinite Backlog. Add it to the list. Bubsy 4D. What do these mean again? It's not great. It's I know Grub gave this a 3 stars, and I see that. I could maybe be a little bit more generous and give it 3.5. It's good. It's good. Yeah, 6.5, right? If I could. That's where it would be, right? For sure. Better than GoldenEye. I mean, I definitely had more fun. That's for sure. I'll go with that. Not gonna make any Game of the Year lists or anything. Speaking of, we can look at things added by release year to get an idea. I think I have a lot of 9s. I don't have any 5s though, so it's kind of interesting. Watch by release date. So, oh yeah, there's me and I gave 3.5. But yeah, First Light, Forza, Resident 6, Pragmata, Pacopia, Spire, and Resident Evil Requiem all have 4.5 stars. And Scamline, apparently. How about that? Then I got some 4 stars. Wonder if I know other people don't mind putting early access games in their list. I usually don't. So unless there's like a final release, I don't really want to talk about Slay the Spire 2 too much at this game of the year. Personal preferencing. Is BFBB the best game based on a Battle for Bikini Bottom? Best game based on a child's cartoon? I don't know. Buster Bust Loose on the SNES was pretty good. What's my most recent 5-star? Let's see. Good question. Like, do you mean... Well, give Hades 2 one. There's a part of me that thinks that might be maybe a little high. Silk Song for sure. Silk Song for sure. Bonanza I gave 5 stars. Gave a few 5 stars just last year. Last year was pretty sweet. And then, yeah, Astrobot. Turtles of Time, DuckTales, yeah. Alright, so this next game is called TetherGeist. It kind of looks like it has a bit of a Celeste vibe to it. Let's see here now. Celeste. Like TetherGeist. I think I saw the Beast playing this, and I was like, that looks interesting. Put all this like 40. Assume that'll be okay. Let me know if it's not enough. Is that a Rhino Beetle B? I can't wait. They made you... Oh, no, not you. Not you. You're fine where you were. It's me. You know, they made you wait a whole year to do your binding. I'm gonna sneeze. It's not that dangerous for you, is it? May? Oh, well, my mom says that our ancestors did the binding on foot. If they could do it without spirit flight, then I should be able to do it with my tether. Yeah, but doesn't your tether, hurt? Not all the time. What? It's really not as big a deal as everyone makes it out to be. I'll be fine. Guess we'll find out tomorrow. Well, we should head back home. We've got a big day ahead of us. There we go. Want us to wait up for you, May? No, that's okay. I can make it back on my own. Okay then, see you in town. So yeah, we got pixel art. If you thought maybe the art looked a little rough there, this looks better. Whoops. There's a ghost. Was there a ghost here? I wish people would stop talking to me like that. Something wrong with me? When this is over, everyone will stop treating me like a little kid, huh? You ready, Bow? Haha, let's go. Oh, she seems to be in pain. Ugh, not now. What the heck? Let's run over and get swords. Does she have Crohn's, too? Okay. Good jumping. Whoa, what's that? Wee. Okay. Whoa. Ah, so that's my tether. I think it's more of an analog stick 2D game, which you do have. Celeste is one of those, for sure. Kind of, I think. Oops. Whoa. Ah, okay. I see. Okay. Tether. Ow. Got the fast checkpoints. Can I go through these things? Yes, we can. Have to not blow it. Okay. Oh, interesting. Right, see the list comparisons now. Ow. Ow. Oh, didn't even see it. Does the crystal do something? This makes a fun noise. I want to go over there. Uh-oh, my tum-tum hurts. It kind of pushes me through the rest of it, I see. Are these like the cherries? Oh, they're exactly like the cherries. Oh, we have wall jumping. I didn't know it was a good video game. Oh, yeah. Strawberries. My bad, my bad. All fruit looks the same to me. Ah, so you can't do it in these purple zones. Good to know. Well, okay, you can still put it in there. You just can't activate it in there. Okay. Woo. Scary. Whoops, whoops, whoops. Okay. Wait, what are you trying to tell me? Oh. Oh, this only starts moving when I'm tethering. Okay. That's interesting. I wonder if I wasted one there. Whoa. Let me back. There we go. I didn't touch the checkpoint last time, apparently. Okay, like this. There we go. Oops, too much. Okay. Oh, there's something hidden down there. Oh. Can I go back? I see the hidden thing now. There we go, I can. Okay, watch this. Missing one. I just jumped down there, I see. Yeah. Whee! Oh no. Oh, yes, we're good. Oh, cool. Alright, that was neat. I feel powerful. Ow. These alligator squirrels? What the hell is that? We're halfway there. Oh, we're living on a prayer. See you get back and rest, then I'll be ready for tomorrow. Phew, hasn't been this painful. You can't let the others know about this. Or they're not going to let. There's not too many demos I think I know about. Oh, what's going on here? So, it'd be incredible if, yeah, if instead of, like, anxiety, she has Crohn's, right? Okay, this is bad. Let's hurry. Some kind of IBS. I'm not like the most demo-forward guy. I'm not usually checking out a ton of demos. Checked out a few last time. I don't know if there's any big ones people are looking forward to they could recommend, maybe, but... Does every screen have a red flower? I don't know if every screen does. Well, I mean, SGS is a little different. This is a cozy looking house. It does sound like this Switch snap. A Stardew Valley style game where you run a board game cafe called Dragon's Brew. That sounds cute. This is definitely my mom. Mom, what happened? How long was I asleep? Hey dear, how are you feeling? You were found unconscious in the woods. Hate to think what might have happened if that stranger hadn't found you. I didn't sleep through the binding, did I? Not quite. It's happening right now. But May, I'm sorry. After what happened last night, the elders? No, not again. Sorry, May. You have unique needs and we just want you to be safe. I know, I'm sorry. You can go to the temple and speak to the elders. They will explain themselves. Pretty looking town. Pardon me, how do I get to the temple here? My niece begins her bind date. I don't want to miss it. Keep heading to the right and you'll find it. Oh, thank you. Part of me's thinking this might be Crow. This is what she has, which I'm gonna actually lose my shit. That's what. Yeah, poor choice of words, but that would be incredible. Oh, pretty. Hey, just person I wanted to see. Really? Why? Well, I need some help, and since you're supposed to be on your bio now, I know you have a clear schedule. Great. What do you say? Want to do me a favor? What is it? Miller girl was supposed to be back hours ago. I know she's napping near some salt hives. She is always doing that. Would you go find her? Blah, 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 blah. Sure, I'll keep an eye out. Yeah, I'm allowed to say it. Are these elephant snails? I like all the weird animal hybrids. That's fun. It's like I'm in Adventureland. Wait, don't I want those things? Or wasn't it good that we had those? Thank you for attending the start of this year's binding. We shall reconvene in 2 days. Welcome back our village's newest souls. Where are they going? Good to see you're up, May. How are you feeling? Why can't I go do the binding? I was ready as everyone else. I understand your frustration, my dear. With your condition, these are extraordinary circumstances. Your soul is still encumbered by a tether. Seeing what I can do despite my tether, please let me go. The tether's unusual. It is true, May. You have worked very hard and have made great progress, but the binding will be a uniquely treacherous journey for you. After yesterday's incident. So everyone else is just sending their souls on the journey. I'm going to go with my soul. We see out you're still not ready. We are truly sorry. We will double our efforts to heal your body and spirit so you can do the binding next year. Please, for your safety, stay within the city walls until this year's ceremony is ended. I won't do that. You think it's a young woman, a algorithm for a young woman with a child? Interesting. Way they say condition, I'm not sure. Maybe. Oh there, May. I heard about what happened. Tough break, kid. You're one of the toughest people I know. I'm sure they'll let you go next year. Not if I still have a tether. They'll come around. Everyone just wants you to be safe. Just because others make the journey by spirit flight doesn't mean it can't be done on foot. That lady that found you outside town was also on her way to the Fawn of Souls. Really? Oh, sorry. Nice lady, but seemed to be in a rush. She's going to, so am I. Well there, a person from inside the Elder have asked us not to let you out of town for a few days. Come on, Poe, do this for me. Sorry, mate, I'm a man of my word. However, you know as well as I do, the city gates are very loosely watched at night. You should sneak out. I've taken plenty of midnight walks through the forest myself. Right. Thanks, Poe. A midnight walk sounds nice. Let's go. I don't know where these salt mines are this person is. See you later, Mom. Can't hold me down anymore. I'm on Sky Rizzy now. Oh. It's a stealth section. Oops. All right, I have a. Yeah, there we go. Maybe I should have tried to find that lady, but whatever. Oh, I want it, but I don't know how to get it. It's too high up. Maybe later. Pleasant music. Do you think this is an unofficial sequel to Geist on the GameCube? Ooh. Man, this is a big town. I don't think towns need to be this big. Well. Hey, got one. Neat. Oh. Alright. Hey, wait. Oh, that's my mom. Mom, I can't wait around for another year. I'm ready to go now. I know, dear. I'm not here to stop you. Really? Because she just passed out yesterday. It does seem actually pretty dangerous for her. Really? I agree with the council's decision and don't want you to go. But I also don't want to hold you back. It's gonna be hard, but I know that's why you need to try. Thanks, Mom. I promise I'll be safe. Now you will try, dear, but just in case, keep an eye out for the red Atropa blossom. Right amount can soothe ailing spirits. They can be difficult to reach, but collecting them will be worth the effort. Okay, thanks, Mom. Love you. Love you too. Let's go. Pretty backgrounds. Even then, like, that was not some giant intro sequence, of course, but it's like, you know, Celeste gets into it just even a bit faster than that, right? There we go. Probably something down here. Yeah, boy. Hey, easy. This tether mechanic feels great, though. Right, you don't auto-collect the flowers, you have to land. Whoops. It's fun. I do wonder if every single screen has one. Yeah, shit. Yeah. Right, I forgot that they just kind of canceled their next game. Oh boy. Heh. Okay. Nice, nice, nice. Even have an extra one. Whoops. How do I do that? Oh well. Don't have to get all of them. Whee. Boop. I wonder if this is on Switch 2 yet. Be a phone just kind of play in bed. Oh boy. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Whoops. Right. Yeah. I got the flower, but I'm not gonna make it. I still keep the flower? Okay. Oops. Nope. Kind of want this to move as little as possible. I see now. Whoops. And... Hey. Oh. No. Okay, I got an idea. Whoops. Too fast. Here's how this is gonna work. There we go. First try. Or they have B-sides in this. Oop. It's like, I can keep this one. I don't need to use it there. Maybe that'll be important later. Yeah, I lost one already. Oh boy. Fine. This is cool. Oh shit. Okay. Hey. Yeah, Sidetrack's very nice so far. Hope speedrunners pick this up. Celeste speedruns are amazing, you know. Oh right, I can't do my thing now. That's a problem. So I kind of need to, like, move this a bit more till it's out. There we go. Now I can do things. This way. Oh. Oop. Okay. Hey. That was a fun one. Well, this game already came out at the beginning of May, and I didn't hear too many people talking about it. But I think it went a little bit under the radar. Maybe people, you know, I've heard about it now, so maybe it's starting to get a little recognition. Hey. Oops. I blew it. Ooh. Yeah, I got the flower at least, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to get out of here. Whoa. Okay, so only while I'm doing that. Floor is lava, got it. That's fun. God, I love wall jumping. Alright. God, it feels good. Yep. I finished Bubsy 4D. Now checking out this indie game called TetherGeist. Oh boy. How are we doing this? Did I skip? Okay. Whoops. I have an idea. Can I go through both of these? No shit. Well, that was my idea. What's interesting is that I get a little... Even if I don't have the spirit, I get a little extra height when I do that. There we go. I thought it could be done. Nice. Hey. Hell yeah. I'm going to the bathroom real quick, everybody. I'll be right back. Lulu. Time to bring back Golf Week. Whoops. I was like, what's that button again? Is that something? Looks pretty precarious. Yeah, I don't think there's anything. No, I'm curious. Whoops. No. Ooh, okay, I gotta be fast there. Yeah. Wee. be something over here. A rock bug. Whoa, what's this? I found something real secret. What the heck is that? That's something about the bugs. What kind of game would the indie darling What a Day for Monkeys be? It would definitely be a lot like Thank Goodness You're Here, but more Midwestern. That was a good game. Idiot box and everybody. You wanna know the unhinged thing I did last night? God damn it. I watched... I'm somebody who almost never watches movies anymore. I watched March of the Penguins 2. I was just like really in the mood to look at some penguins. There's a sequel. It's only on Hulu. Still got Morgan Freeman. The same people. Hey, it's that person who saved me. The penguins were doing great. Well, the ones that lived. Well, how about that? You're the last person I expect to see out here tonight. Do I know you? Haha, no, but we met. I'm Foil. I found you face down in the dirt yesterday. Oh, you're the one that brought me back to the village. Thank you. It's not the same penguins. What else am I gonna do? Leave you there. Please, take a seat. Let's review the helicopter Blu-ray that you wanted contest. I get the feeling you're not supposed to be out here. I'm not. I was supposed to start the binding today, but because of what happened, they wouldn't let me go. Ah, I'm familiar with the binding. Sorry you couldn't go. Is that why you ran away? I didn't run away. I've started the binding. I'll return home when I'm done, just like everyone else. Oh, I'm sorry. I was under the impression that the journey was through spirit flight. It is, but my spirit is a tether. It's not normal. I can't travel to the fount like the others. Oh, well then I'm impressed. Really? Of course, it's very devout of you. My journey to the Fount of Souls is not half as noble as yours. Why are you going there? To destroy it. I'm a historian of sorts. The Fount of Souls is the source of some very fascinating accounts. Said to be the dwelling place of the mountain god, and that the surrounding shaman tribes travel there to commune with it and are granted all manner of blessings, including miraculous healings. I tend to see it for myself. Oh, well, this binding is the ceremony that's all about healing. But I think it's more metaphorical than literal. Ah, well, that may be why I intend to see for myself. But first I need to get there, and it's proving to be harder than I thought. Going to get some rest before continuing my journey. Yeah, how are you doing this without a spirit? Glad I have properly met you, May. Sure, our paths will cross again. Sleep well. Yeah, I like a good animal documentary. I might try to find some more to watch tonight. I want to watch some bird ones. I want to see some birds tonight. I finished my bird audiobook. It was fun, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know why I love it. It seems like a weird thing to learn about animals in an audiobook. It helps a lot when you can see the animals, you know? I do not watch only Disney-related documentaries, although I suppose March of the Penguins 2 did count. It's on Hulu. Disney Nature Stuff's pretty good. I want to see that dinosaur one. I don't think I have Apple TV. I mean, Disney owns freaking National Geographic now, right? So, that. Alright, what new mechanics? Ooh, we got bouncing. Oh, very different. Interesting, much different. Cool. Very neat. Oh, bad mushrooms. Oh, you can tap it for a little bit, I see. So these are dangerous, so I see. Oh boy. Okay, I get it. I get it, I'm just bad. There we go. These are really good. I think I'm gonna recommend this game to Grub. He'd like this, right? He likes Celeste. Easy. You have a brief moment in the National Geographic documentary about elephants. Nice. There was, I think Disney Nature did an elephant one not that long ago. I didn't see it yet. Oh, so, okay, so the pinwheels still give me those ones. Oh, so we're mixing and matching these now? Oh my god. That's crazy. Things are getting complicado here. But I'm down for it. Whoa, okay. This is getting nuts. I should be a narrator for nature documentary. Come on. Come on. Ah, hey. How are we gonna do this? Guess we'll go up here first. Oh, gotta hold it down, right? Oh. Oop. Huh. There we go. Ow. Ah, shit. Oh. Whoa, I'm okay. I'm not dead. This is gonna be tricky. Come on. Yeah. There we go. Nice. Oh, damn. Right. Oh boy, I don't know about that. Ooh, I'm out. I keep going. There we go. First try. Ugh. Double Fine posted something on Blue Sky. Just like, oh my god. These poor guys. Psychonauts 2 is so freaking good, by the way. Like, that's the best game they've ever made. Or the other 2021 games? Because I remember it was not for Game of the Year. And it was definitely worthy of that. It wasn't my Game of the Year. 2020. I think what Nintendo's big game would have been that year. Oh, is it Metroid Dread? Well, there you go. Yeah, it's probably Metroid Dread. Ooh, how am I gonna do that? Yeah, and I'm kind of at a point where, like, I'm gonna talk about this tomorrow, but, like, I kind of want to see some things develop a bit. Oh. Man, how am I supposed to get... I think I have an idea. I think I see what the issue is. Here you go, up. Hey. Well, maybe not. Base is a different one, but that's fun too. Actually, we're gonna have so many mushrooms that this might help. Yeah, not really. It's just to get it. Alright, well, we got it. Oops. Like, I would have to be able to get that flower from repelling myself from this mushroom the first time. Maybe the closer I am to it, the further I go? I don't think so. Is it possible to do that? I don't know. I mean, maybe it can't just be done like that. I really want this freaking flower. Oh, shit. Hey, first try. They're collectibles. They're just like the strawberries in Celeste, I think. So, sure, if you get them all, you have to make a pie out of the flowers at the end, depending on how many you get. I don't know, something like that. They're kind of like challenge collectibles. I already wasted one of them. Yeah, what's going on here, Mike? There. Oh. Hey. Oh, hello again. Hey there, just the person I was hoping to see. Oh, why is that? Look at this. It's a spirit door. I've never seen it before, and I would love for you to show me how it works. Sorry, but I have no idea what that thing is. Really? But you have a siren. In my studies, I've read that shamans can travel through these structures with the aid of their familiar. I mean, Bao? Sirens are spiritual guides, but they don't open doors for us. I'd ask if you're serious, but you seem like the earnest sort. Perhaps you're right, and I'm mistaken. However, knowledge can be lost to time. I found that your village is unfamiliar with several of the concepts I've read about in ancient texts. Croak is another Celeste Light. He plays a prog prince, and I don't know that one. There's, of course, one way to find out if my research is faulty or not. What do you mean? On my line of work, we have a theory. You gather evidence, support, or refute the claim. You are a shaman? I almost said shaman. Gross. You have your siren. Try opening the door. But I don't know how. Alright. Well, I'm less help in that regard. I know very little about the spiritual powers you possess. But according to my research, the siren will activate the pathway to the spirit world. Okay, let's just try it. Come on, yeah, let's give it a go. Come on. I bet it's gonna work. Challenge room. Oh, it's the Steam Nexus demo. You're right, it's beautiful. Amazing, isn't it? Just to think, if this knowledge was forgotten, imagine what other secrets have been lost to time. We were always taught that the sirens help our people to draw closer to the spiritual plane. Never thought to take it literally. Aha! Well, mate, thank you for granting me the privilege of experiencing this with you. Let's be off. I'm in a hurry to get to the Font of Souls. Don't you want to go inside? Gods, I would love to. With no understanding of spiritual plane nor siren guide me, I'm afraid the risk outweigh the reward. But for you, it should be perfectly safe. Go on in and tell me what you find next time we meet. Of course, I'll tell you all about it. Okay, but I'm trusting you. Let's do this. Whoa. Look at this. I want to go in this way. Well, I'll be, is that a human? How long has it been since we've seen one of their kind on this side of the veil? I don't know why this chicken talks like this. A few weeks, I reckon. I say, old chap, you have lost your sense of time entirely. It has been at least a century. Is that more than a few weeks? Forgive my friend, small human. Time is a bit wobbly around here. But where are my manners, starry salutations, and the like? Oh, howdy. Hi. So what brings you to this side of the veil? Well, I don't know. I didn't know this place existed before now. Truly, well, that does explain the decreased foot traffic as of late. Nevertheless, welcome. Since you're new here, might I offer you some free advice? Choose the order of your spiritual boons carefully. The haphazard use of a zai around here won't get you very far. Good to know. Thank you so much. What, do I get upgrades? So what's happening here? Oh, the order. I see. I see. Never thought of it like that. Okay. I need to have mushroom first. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. Oh, now this is fucked up. All right. So I need mushroom. Pinwheel. Pinwheel, mushroom, mushroom. Pinwheel. Mushroom, pinwheel. I can only have, okay. Well, let's see. Ugh, shit, I messed it up. What was that order? I said, this, yeah. Ow. Damn it. Hey, that's neat. That's neat. Oh boy. Thought I wouldn't see this? You think I'm stupid, game? You think you're better than me? Bit much. Ow. Oh, but I want that. Yeah, we could probably get over there with just using 2 of these. No. We're good. Oops. Again, I have to be good at the video game. What if I go... No. Oh my god, Mike. Get it together. No. That seems tricky. I don't know if I can just get over there with 2. Is there some point in going up? Aha! Look at that. Close. That'd be a separate thing, but I'll take it. It's not even, yeah, it's not even related to this current puzzle. Yeah, I don't know. The thing seems obvious to me. Just leave that one. Don't need all of them. Alright. Some other day. Stubborn, but I'm not that stubborn. Ow. There we go. Ah, shit. Ow. What is happening here? Eh? I have an extra one. Looks like I should do something with it, but I don't really see what I could. Yes, Bubsy's been beaten. Oh boy. Going to really feather this one. Hey, first try. Yeah. Okay, nice. Ooh, forgot how that one worked though, but right idea. Nice. Nice. Fun, 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 fun. Oops. Didn't actually touch it. Yeah, Bubsy was sent to a farm. And nice. Whoa, 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 calm down now. Are you serious? Can you get sick? Whoa, whoa. Hey, first try. Wow. Oh, come on. Oof. I like these kind of games where you just retry difficult platform extensions instantly. I mean, Celeste was a bit of a Super Meat Boy-like before anything else. It was a bit of an N+ like. You remember that game? Okay. Close. Close. They announced there's a new N+? Really? I haven't thought about that one in a while. I remember when it was just N. The Flash game. Was this fun? I like the musical notes. What's down here? Oh, not one of these. Yeah, Xbox used to do some cool stuff, man, with like Summer of Arcade. Did I just leave? I don't know why it gave me the pinwheels. Don't really seem to need them. To get out of here. Yeah, I mean, Summer of Arcade was like just must-see TV, if that makes any sense at the time. So cool. You know what the first indie game I ever played was? I mean, they were we used to call them Flash games back in my day, right? I mean, the first... When people started talking about indie games, I think the first things I remember were things like Cave Story. And then some arcade stuff. Like, and Braid was such a breakout for that stuff. What's the correct path here? It seems like a problem. I guess, oh, I'd have to probably loop back around, I see. Okay. Ah, so close. Ah. Got the idea, though. Close. Eh. Whoops. Oh. There we go. Oh, so close. I got this. Ah, that's not gonna do it. I mean, I could just land over here with the thing in. Like this. Kind of feel like cheating, though. It worked. Oh. Hey, first try. Oh, I didn't notice that downward path. Let's retry. Get down there. Oops. How are we doing? What am I missing here? Oh, there they are. I was like... Haha. 21st Light. Anytime you take guards, they vision, they yell, "Wah," like Hank Hill. Wah! I get that. I like it. How do I get out of there with this thing? Oh, yeah. Easy peasy. Oof, a little too fast down there. Right click the pocket sand. Yeah. Bum 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 bum. Oh shit. This one might not be worth getting, we'll see. I definitely need to get it the first try there. What's the timing on this? Should I do it when it's like kind of up? Oh, I almost had that. Okay. Go! Oh, baby. Let's go. So good at video games. Many people can't believe it. They think it was possible for one person to be this good. Sure, that's what I was supposed to do, but I did it. Oh, let's keep track of my desk, dang. Got a lot of the flowers there. And the secret. Didn't get the secret in the village, but got the other ones. Oh, I am curious how many levels there are. It's sizable. Looks like I'm in a town. Next. Yeah, looks like next one's a little pit stop at a town. We're gonna probably stop here, though. Cool game. Really like that a lot. Definitely, if you like Celeste, I think you'll like that. Good stuff. Again, that was TetherGeist, as you can see there. Fun stuff. Alrighty. Thank you for hanging out tonight, everybody. Yeah, it's a cheap game, too. It's like $15, so what the heck. Definitely seems worth that. Alright. Let's see. Bailey's on. Bailey's still playing Clear Obscure. Let's raid Bailey. Say hi. Bailey in versus Predator. All right, want to see you for the Bombcast tomorrow. Have a good night. That of Bailey. Thanks for hanging out. I'll be seeing you all real soon. Bye-bye. Woo.